Greetings, you feral phalids. I hope you're doing well. My name is Graham, and welcome to the Crack-A-Pack here on LRRMTG. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Today, we are looking at a pack of Fallen Empires. This was given to us by Temple West at Magic Fest Seattle, and there are only 8 tradable game cards in a pack of Fallen Empires. So, yeah, let's find out what's inside it. We've done a pack of Fallen Empires before. I assume I went into reading all the flavor text on the back of the booster. Well, we certainly don't want to fare no better than the Fallen Empires, so we'll just dive right in. First up, it's a misprint, or a miscut rather. Night Soil, green for an enchantment. Remove 2 creatures in any graveyard from the game to put a Saproling token into play. Treat this token as a 1/1 green creature. That's for 1 mana. And yeah, it's is the whole pack like this? I'm just sort of poking ahead. No, they're different, but this is definitely the worst. That it's like way off it's much thinner border at the top than the bottom. Not like high on your list of desirable misprints, which is a shame because there's not a lot in this set that's like worth a huge amount anyway, but that's Night Soil with art from Drew Tucker, and always very abstract is Drew Tucker's art. I like this a lot. Couldn't point at what it is. I guess it's soil. Night Soil means a different thing. It's like dookie. I guess we're turning Dookie into Saprolings. Maybe they're just coming out of the... You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to move on to the Icatian Money Changer. 1 white mana for a 0/2 townsfolk. Presumably human now, but anyway. Money Changer deals 3 damage to you when summoned. Semicolon. Put 3 credit counters on Money Changer at that time. During your upkeep, put 1 credit counter on Money Changer. For 0, sacrifice Money Changer to gain 1 life for each credit counter on it. Use this ability only during your upkeep. I feel like this is the most cursed phrase that we've come across during the Crack-A-Pack. There are so many old cards that are like, oh yeah, okay, sure, I can see, maybe some cool uses for that. And every single time, it's like, nah, you can only do that during your upkeep. Why? It's just bad if I do that. Okay. Well, next up is Homarid. Good old Homarid. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 Homarid. Put a tide counter on Homarid when it is brought into play and during your upkeep. If there is 1 tide counter on Homarid, it gets -1/-1. If there are 3 tide counters on Homarid, it gets +1/+1. When there are 4 tide counters on Homarid, remove them all. They tried really hard to make a mechanic on this idea of the ebb and flow of the tides. Right? And at low tide, the Homarid is weaker, and at high tide, the Homarid is stronger. And there's other cards that had this similar sort of thing of tide counters coming in and leaving. And it's flavorful, and it's not clean. This is a mess of a mechanic. So, okay, you cast it, you put a tide counter on it, so it's a 1/1. Then, on your upkeep, you put another tide counter on it, and then it becomes a 2/2, because 2 counters satisfies no other condition listed on the card, meaning it must not be any of those things, so it's a 2/2. Then on your next turn, it's a 3/3. Then on your next turn, all the counters go away, so it goes back to a 2/2. So it starts as 1 and goes 1, 2, 3, 2, yeah. It's not worth it. Like, by what I mean is, it's not worth the time and mental energy that it takes you as a player to track this information for the payoff. Because the payoff is, at best, a 3/3 for 3, 1 out of every 4 turns. Sorry, Homarid. I want to see the return of the Homarids. I want vengeful respect for my crab people. I don't have that kind of power. I shouldn't point. It's rude. That's what my mom always told me when I was a kid. Armor Thrall is next. It's 2 and a black for a 1/3 Thrall. Very spiky, deeply unpleasant. This is the Ron Spencer art, and I mean, great work, Ron. Love it. Terrific job. I hate it. It's one of those things, right? Tap and sacrifice Armor Thrall to put a +1/+2 counter on target creature. Thank goodness we standardized counters. A +1/+2 counter. It's not even, this thing's a 1/3. Why isn't it a +1/+3 counter? I guess it lost 1 toughness when you sacrificed it, and when you skinned it, presumably, and used its spiky flesh as a armor for some other creature. This is, you know, the less I think about Armor Thrall, just generally, I think the better day I'm gonna have. Ication Scout looks like someone who's really deep in the tank thinking about Armor Thrall and trying desperately not to think about Armor Thrall. It's 1 white for a 1/1 summon soldier, and for 1 and tap, target creature gains first strike until end of turn. I like the flavor text. Of course I'm not a spy. The enemy has spies. I'm a scout. Attributed to Alis Connaught. This card is fine, I guess. It's a utility creature. Give something first strike. It's not super impactful, but yeah, all right. What is this scary looking dude? Farrell's Zealot. Farrell's Zealot? Like Farrell, like Williams? No, it's spelled differently. Farrell's Zealot. 1 white for a 2/2 townsfolk. If Feral Zealot attacks and is not blocked, you may choose to have it deal 3 damage to a target creature. If you do so, it deals no damage to the opponent this turn. If the opponent had a creature that would die to 3 damage, presumably it would be big enough to block and kill the Feral Zealot without dying itself in most cases, right? My brain's going a mile a minute trying to figure out why this card does what it does. I don't know if anybody knows. It's an interesting idea. Thelonite Druid. I feel like we've seen Thelonite Druid before. 2 and a green for a 1/1 cleric pointing at the sky. For 1 and a green and tap, sacrifice a creature to turn all your forests into 2/3 creatures until end of turn. The forests still count as lands, but may not be tapped for mana if they were brought into play this turn. Right, yes, activate the forest, send the forest to the opponent. Only forests. And you have to sacrifice a creature first to do it, and it's only until end of turn, and they don't get haste. But I mean, if you've got to do it, then I guess you got to do it. And lastly, oh good, it's a Homarid Spawning Bed. Gross. Blue for an enchantment. For 1 blue, sacrifice a blue creature. Okay, so where they put the colon has changed over the course of Magic. Now it comes after all of the costs. So there should be 1 blue and sack a creature, a blue creature. Put X Camerid tokens into play, where X is the casting cost of the sacrificed creature. Treat these tokens as 1/1 blue creatures. So you can turn your creatures into lots of little creatures. Not Homerids, Camerids, which I guess is a baby Homerid. And you're sacrificing a blue creature because you're feeding it to the eggs, and it has to be blue because otherwise, how would it ever get down to the spawning bed underwater? I'm fighting for my life over here. Okay, that was a pack of Fallen Empires. The whole pack is worth $1.13, which sounds bad, but this is only 8 cards. We've opened standard packs or packs with the full 15 in them, and they've been worth less. Packs of like Ravnica or Khan's Block or whatever. So for only 8 cards, not bad, I guess. Thelonite Druid is 22 cents. Very nice. I will take, in the mythical world where I'm doing a Fallen Empires draft, presumably I'm only doing that for the benefit of internet content. So, given that we want to be doing entertaining things, I guess I would take I mean, probably Thalanite Druid. That sounds fun. Actually, Homerid Spawning Bed. You know what? Maybe try to do Homerid Spawning Bed and go wide with lots of little 1/1 Camarids, I suppose. It's very difficult to tell what would be good here in draft because it would not be a good draft. But that's it for the Crack-A-Pack. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you again, Temple West, for giving us this pack at Magic Fest Seattle. Much appreciated. If you want to send us a pack, you're under no obligation to do so, but you can do it at the address on your screen. Attention, Crack-A-Pack. Mark that the address has changed slightly from the much earlier episodes. I don't think it matters, frankly, but it changed from Victoria, Maine to STN Central. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, thank you for that. Everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. We have a store. We sell things there. That's fun. Thanks, everybody, for watching. James has been here running the board. Shoutouts to Matt for the edit. Goodbye.